I apologize for the audio. It's going to go to 84 degrees today, and well, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I didn't have to run the air conditioning for most of the day, but I've decided let's run it and let's be comfortable. And I'm on here because of the important information you need to know. What you need to know is that Canada has decided to become more of an enemy. And the prime minister that they installed, who was not elected, is a central banker. So you need to understand, this is as people are calling it, a hybrid war waged by the central bank. Yes, our founders warned us that central banks were more dangerous than standing armies. Now, the Canadian Prime Minister, or whatever he is, of Ontario, is bragging about, oh, they're just upset because we burned the White House in 1812. They didn't just burn the White House in 1812. One thing I can say about Lyndon LaRouche is he was right when he pointed to Great Britain as the enemy. Great Britain is the enemy. I want you to understand that. They're not friends. Because in 1812, they destroyed America. And you don't even know it. But after this video, you will know it. What happened is that the attorneys here in the United States were Bar Association members. And they got us into the War of 1812. Don't ask me how, I really don't know. But I can tell you the results of that. The results of that was the 13th Amendment, which barred Bar Association attorneys completely. They couldn't hold office. They couldn't even be citizens here. And above all, they couldn't earn a living. But we screwed up. And the British, when they came in, didn't just burn the White House. They burned the handwritten notes of the state of Virginia legislative session. According to Eustace Mullins, the handwritten notes that proved that the 13th Amendment, the real 13th Amendment, was fully ratified and adopted, as Virginia was the last state to vote and to give it to us. So the 13th Amendment is the real law of the land. You need to understand that. And when they went in to burn the White House, they also sacked the capital of the state of Virginia. And BAR stands for British Accreditation Regency. The king was very upset in England. He called the Bar Association attorneys in, his attorneys in, and derided them, demanding to know, why haven't you done what I've told you to do? And the Bar Association attorneys replied to the king, Sir, we do everything you tell us to do, but they read the law. They know the law better than we do, and they beat us in court. The King of England was ruling through his Bar Association. That's why it's called Regency. British Association Regency. These are the king's regents in America. They're not citizens here at all. They were stripped of citizenship. They're not allowed to have any kind of business where they can make any kind of a living. But here's the problem. March 4th, a year later, 1813, they sat in clear violation of the real 13th Amendment, the Bar Association attorneys in the United States Congress. They violated the 13th Amendment. And to give you the full story, I can't give you the full story, but I'm going to get as close as I can. Along comes a Bar Association attorney who works for the railroad system. And this Bar Association attorney had a nickname. And you know how it is with nicknames. You know, like I see a big guy and I say, "Hey, Tiny." He knows that I know he's big, and he knows I'm acknowledging it. He also knows that it's kind of a teasing, affectionate thing, and it's like, son of a bitch is a monster. He's huge. He's tall. He ain't tiny. The same it was with Honest Abe. He wasn't honest. He did improve and become better towards the end of his life. But the fact is, he overwrote the real 13th Amendment, fully aware of the fact that the real 13th Amendment banned him from holding the office of the president. So what did he do? He overwrote the 13th Amendment with the Anti-Slavery Amendment. Yes. And so the real law of the land is the real 13th Amendment and no other amendments, because the South was not represented properly for the 14th and 15th. Their senators and congressmen were appointed by the North occupying forces, occupying politicians. The Southerners didn't get to vote for their congressmen in particular. And they didn't get to vote who was going to their state senates or any of that stuff, their state congress either. They didn't get to vote on that stuff. Your 14th Amendment made slaves of us all. That's when they created a citizen of the United States. We were, prior to that, and after that for quite a while, we were citizens of our states. Your citizenship came from your state. It didn't come from the central federal communist government. And your lovely 16th Amendment was never even voted upon. It was merely announced by the acting Secretary of the Treasury and one other bureaucrat. They announced the passage of it, that it had been ratified, and the newspapers, being owned and controlled by the same you-know-who, they ran with it. So, your 16th Amendment was never even voted on. It ain't legal. Nothing that they're doing is legal, in my opinion. The FBI ain't legal, that's for sure. We lost our republic. You realize that it's gone. We don't have a democracy. We have the international bankers running roughshod over us and the rest of the planet. They use our military might illegally across the planet to do their bidding, to help them exploit other countries, keep them in line, steal and rob them, just like they rob us. It's horrible what we've allowed ourselves to be turned into. Now, Amendment 17. That was for the direct election of the senators, which is anti-constitutional. It is unconstitutional. Why? Because the states, the several states, the independent states, had their representatives sign off for the state government authorizing the central constitutional authority. So your senators don't represent the people as much as they represent the states they come from. So the 17th Amendment, like all of the rest, 18, 19, 20, whatever you got, they're all out of order, and hence null and void. I have to speak a little louder. I know that this is not picking up very well, and I know you're going to hear the generator, hauling ass in the background. And I put the air conditioners on low volume, and it's getting a little too chilly in here for me, so everything's running, not everything, but that part's running quite right. Canada, this jackass who's governing Ontario, doubled down and reminded us of the War of 1812. There are other problems too. You see, it was because of the Canadians that we had to fight for our independence. They were our enemies. It was the French warships who were attacking the 13 colonies that aroused us and made us plead with our king over in Great Britain to defend us. Because according to Vattel's Law of Nations, the king is required to protect his subjects. And when he fails, they're no longer his subjects. He has granted them independence. That's what the King of England did. King George. And he figured we would collapse and come running to him and give him whatever he wanted. Well, 4 years later, we're doing so good, he decided he wanted us back. That's when he attacked us. And it was not a rebellion. It wasn't a bloody revolution against an authority duly elected or any of that stuff. Or he wasn't in office properly for us. He refused to defend us against the French naval warships. We didn't have any ships of our own. And so he attacked us. Yahweh does not bless rebellion. What happened in the Garden of Eden? Rebellion. What happened with the French Revolution? Rebellion. What happened with the Bolshevik Revolution? That was really bad subterfuge and high treason because they planned that and launched it from our shores. Not only that, but they ran it from a high-rise in Manhattan. On Manhattan Island, there's a high-rise. Anybody who wanted to know what the Soviet Union was going to rule would go up there, and they would tell you what the Soviet Union. They represented the Soviet Union in their high-rise in Manhattan, and their word was gospel as far as what the Soviets were accepting or going to do. It's a lot of information at one time. If you like this video, share it. But do me a favor, be very, very careful. The British, or should I say the Canadians, have decided to go against us completely by not electing this prime minister and appointing an international banker as prime minister. They're going to continue with the woke stuff and the inclusiveness. I think that we're going to wage war with Canada. I think we're going to wage war with Mexico. I think those are legitimate wars to wage. All of this other shit around the planet, it's illegal. And it's being manipulated. We're manipulated into this by the Rothschild bankers and the other group that they're just a part of. They are the enemy of mankind, the enemy of Yahweh. May Yahweh bless.